Well, we're gonna do as much as we can on this water pump today. I might have to come back tomorrow. I made a video on these wiring repairs that were done at the dealership and some other stuff. Let's start by going for this water pump. The last video I did, I showed how this is a very common coolant leak. This is the rear coolant outlet housing. It's plastic, and just taking it off, it broke and half of it stuck inside the head. So to start with this job here, we're gonna get some of this loose right here. We're gonna get the throttle body off. Let's just see if we have enough tools to do what we want to do. Loose. Get them all the way loose. We won't be able to get that loose because this pipe is bolted. Let's get underneath here and show you. T30. We're gonna loosen that up. Get the perfect size T30. This one's a little long, you see? And then I have to have one that's just a little bit stubbier than that. Right up in there. See how it's very important to have all the sizes you need? Can't always use a stubby for everything either, because this stubby might be too fat on the end. But I did not bring my electric ratchet, so I'm just gonna thumb that out with my fingers. We're taking the water pump loose anyway, so if you'll notice, I'm just gonna go ahead and get to this top radiator hose. I'm gonna stick this in here, pop it up, and then wiggle this fitting back. There we go. See, that gives me a lot more room right here. So I'm just gonna set my coolant pipe up here, and I've also got this T30 screwdriver. I'm just gonna kind of fish it back here and unscrew this the rest of the way. Of course, it would be much easier if I had my electric ratchet with me. Let's go ahead and get our hose pick again and put it right here. Spray a little bit of oil there so you don't have any of this stuff with me. Swing this pick to the other side. Work it around as much as you can. And then hopefully it'll push down, but in my case it's not wanting to. So I'm gonna get the negotiator out again, and very carefully around this connector, I'm gonna kind of push down on the hose. See how it's off right here? I'm gonna even it up on this other side. And now that it's halfway walked off, we'll come all the way off. Now, I could take this thing all the way out if I wanted, and that's probably the responsible thing to do. Here's this boost pressure clip right here, and it's gonna fight me all the way too. So I'm gonna grab, do I have a pick with me? I don't even have picks with me. Maybe I do. Right here. I'm gonna put this pick right behind this trigger mechanism. And all you really have to do is pop the trigger back, and then it slides back. That's what's fighting you, is that trigger. Now, we'll just get this whole pipe out of the way. And to do that, we're gonna come back under here and get this boost hose out of the way by popping it back. And then, look at that. Now, do we get that out of the top or the bottom? I'm gonna try the top first, because you wanna be careful with these fans. Very careful with these. And you can also pop these fans out too. All you have to do is take these screws out right here, this one right here, and most people probably do take these fans out. There we go. Slides right out after you come back to the top and carefully pop it out. Now we've got enough room to unbolt our throttle body. I would probably suggest unbolting the throttle body. I would probably also suggest using power tools because I don't really like doing this by hand. One hand at that. There we go. I found a halfway good view. I can finally use two hands. So holding the ratchet with one, and I can zip out these bolts with the other. Much nicer. We're gonna work ourselves all the way around. There's 4 of these. Still a little bit difficult to find, even with my thumb on it. There we go. Okay, make sure to catch those. I'm not worried about it personally right now. They're gonna go straight down and hit the ground anyway. And we kind of feel it, know exactly where it's at. I'm gonna go without the ratchet and just set it. There we go. There's 3 of 4 and 4 of 4. This last one. Now we can just pop it off. Now we'll have to get this manifold brace out of the way. There's a triple square down here and a 13mm on the top. Before we get this 13mm off, we're gonna get this triple square right here. That's gonna be a size 10. I like to use these little stubbies. To get to this thing more efficiently, we're gonna go ahead and pop this clip off of this hose right here. You see that? That hose just, it popped itself back in. And get it all the way out. Make sure not to lose it. It's in there somewhere. See, this phone is in my way right now, so I'm not too worried about catching the clips. I usually like to pop it into its detent. It's on the ground right now. And then this other one, we don't really need to get to the other one right now, but it's still on that same side. Pop that one out too, and then pop that hose off. Now look at all that room we got. Now we can put this in here and bust this loose. It's really tight. Really tight. And before I get that one all the way out, I'm gonna get this top one. This top is a 13. Thumb it off and thumb the bottom one off. And get this out of the way. And now we're going to get this right here out of the way. That one was already broken right here. Of course, you can unplug all these first. Like, I like to disengage these clips for everything. So I like to put that back in there, and then they always pop loose so much easier on your fingers. Pop that loose, and then give it. And then we can just get this whole thing out of the way if we want. We've got a T30 in this pipe right here. Now we're going to get it with this ratchet. There we go. I'm on top of it. Well, that was tight. Now we'll thumb it out on the block over here. This electrical connector from the bottom. Pull that tab out, take the connector off, or you can just push this tab and then slide the whole thing off to the side right there. Now we have a straight shot right here. If you can't see it, it's this bolt right here. There we go. You have to make sure that all these bolts go back in the right spot. Because for instance, these two bolts are a little bit smaller than some of the other bolts. The one that goes in this pipe right here is critical, because if you put a longer bolt in the bottom of this pipe, it will snap the water pump. There we go. We can also get these wires loose from the bottom by opening this up like so. And then we could also get this hose clamp off right here or right here. There we go, spring clamp off and pulls straight off. You see I'm caught right here. I was caught in that loop. We finally got to the pump. First we're going to take this cover off. This cover has a bolt right here. A bottom bolt right here. Then we'll find a belt underneath that cover. Pop it loose. cover slides straight out, like so. Now we can unbolt the 5 bolts in this water pump. There's 3 big ones in a triangle right here. This is the bottom one. And there's 2 more just like that. One's right here. A top one in this top corner right here. A little bit hard to get to this top one, and it's going to be a little bit hard to get to these other 2 that I'm about to show you. Now, these other 2 are where this coolant temp sensor wire goes. It might be helpful to unscrew this right here. My hands have coolant all over them. Get that out. You want to put that back in so you can put that brace back on. Now we're going to disconnect this coolant temp sensor, and to do that, you're going to have to carefully push in, pull the tab back, and pull out, and that's going to be really difficult to get loose. That's a tricky one. Not everybody can get that loose, especially if it has a safety tab in here. You have to get a pick in there and pull the safety tab back out first. Now there's two T30s on either side of that coolant temp sensor. So there's one right here. I'm just gonna have to go in here and feel it. It's right there. The bottom one's out. Another thing you could do, is just squeeze these and pull this fitting out, and then you can pull the coolant temp sensor out. That's how you change the coolant temp sensor. And now you have just a little bit more room to figure out where that top T30 is. There we go, I'm on it. And now bust it loose. Theoretically, you're going to want to hold the crankshaft and then bust this nut loose. There's a reverse thread nut on the balance shaft to get this belt off. But usually you can pull this pump loose, kind of jostle it around right there. See, moved it around from side to side, and then you can get a little bit of room on this belt here. I'm just going to carefully push this belt off right there, and now this pump will come straight off. You can leak at this fitting right here, so I suggest that you always replace this fitting right here. And someone already replaced this water pump here because the factory 2009, this plate right here was not aluminum. And then typically what happens is it leaks out of one of these holes right here. So hopefully you got good enough views, and hopefully you can put it back on, because they're saying that I have to leave the junkyard now. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe.